Hi, welcome back to the deep dive. So today we've got something a little different for our source material.
Yeah, this is a fascinating one. We're not looking at a report or study. Our entire source is the transcript from a YouTube music video.
That's right, it's Moneyfeen215 Money Discussions.
And this text, it's just incredibly rich. We're basically treating these lyrics as like a compressed operational manual and a memoir all rolled into one.
So our mission here is to really pull apart the core philosophy, the unique business language, and the personal history that seems to drive every single decision in this story.
It's a raw blueprint, really, for a very specific and very high stakes kind of economy.
And when you step into this world, the language just hits you immediately. It's frantic. You get lines like, whole lot of running dirt with my cousin. But what really stands out are these hyper-specific, almost coded financial terms.
Oh, absolutely. He gives us these anchors right away, but they need some interpretation. For instance, he mentions TSP Money 3900. Now, TSP usually means Thrift Savings Plan, a federal retirement fund. So in this context, it could be a signal, a transaction involving a pretty big, maybe unexpected source of cash.
And the 3900 is the specific value marker.
Exactly. It's an immediate sign that a real-world financial instrument is being leveraged here.
And this is where it gets really interesting, and you kind of have to understand this to get the whole piece. It's this lyrical motif, this phrase that just keeps coming back.
Titties and buttons. Or sometimes squiddies and buttons.
Yes, it's everywhere. It feels central. But what does it actually mean, operationally?
This is, I think, the operational core of the whole text. Because you're dealing with a street economy, these have to be units of measurement, or maybe specific denominations for product or currency that are, designed to be confusing to outsiders.
So if you had to guess, and I know we're hypothesizing here, but to give the listener some context, what's the strongest guess for titties and buttons?
Well, you can connect it to another idea he brings up later, which is scaling up from basically nothing. So a button could be a small, easy-to-count unit, maybe an individual dose, or a small, tight package of something.
Okay, that makes sense.
And titties, which is the more unusual term, that could be a larger consolidated volume,
Sure.
a bigger bundle of cash or a bulk quantity of the product. They're the basic metrics for the whole trade.
So it's the metric system for their entire survival economy.
That's a perfect way to put it, yes.
Okay, let's unpack this. If that's the currency, what is the core action? What drives the whole operation?
Well, the core action is defined by this one singular imperative that he repeats over and over again. If you need something, money discussion.
Like a business mantra.
It is. It's not a casual thing. It immediately tells you this environment is purely transactional. There's no fluff. If you are there, it is for a money discussion.
It sets the terms from the jump.
Yeah.
And the text defines the scale, too, with this incredible precision.
Yeah.
This wasn't some funded startup. He says it starts from an onion.
That phrase is so powerful. It just screams scarcity and organic growth. An onion is the smallest possible unit to start with.
Right.
It tells you that the whole operation's resilience comes from starting at the absolute bottom and having the ingenuity to scale up from that one tiny asset.
And there are clear rules for the people involved. Confidence is key. He says, never clutch, and this ain't no bluffing.
Yeah, even in this informal setup, there's a clear expectation of poise and certainty. You have to project control.
And what's so fascinating is how that jargon, those titties and buttons, it's not just a business metric. It's a cultural marker.
It is. It creates an insider language. It cements this exclusive rhythm. It tells you immediately who belongs in that circle, who's part of the money discussion, and who is not. It's all about trust and control.
I mean, how often do you see a business model, down to its product measurement, defined so uniquely by its own internal slang? It's a whole world built in just a few phrases. So now we have to shift from the mechanics of the transaction to the personal story, the why behind the money discussion being so necessary.
Right, because this isn't just about greed. It's clearly rooted in some deep-seated trauma and instability.
The narrative just pivots hard, doesn't it?
It does. It links the business directly to his origin story. He says, from mama on my come up, it was whole lot of drama. So right there, the hustle is framed as a trauma response. It's a reaction to this profound childhood instability, not just some venture he decided to try.
And the examples he gives are so vivid. He talks about his struggles, like trouble in school every day, I was a problem, and then this internal battle. Whole lot of anger, ain't know how to stall it.
And critically, that instability, it wasn't just emotional, it was physical. The text talks about moving from houses to apartments, pushing on kids in the walls. I mean, that just paints this picture of constant chaos where you have no privacy, no stability, no permanence. That kind of vacuum is what the hustle eventually fills.
And the motivation, he says it himself, is just primal. The line is so stark. Started hustling, first time I was starving.
Pure necessity. It's born from the most basic human need.
He also defines the environment just as clearly. I come from dopers and robbers.
He's not trying to sugarcoat it at all. He's setting the stage. This isn't him being an outlier. This is the world he inherited. The education he got on the street was one of high risk and immediate transactions.
And those stakes go way beyond just financial risk. We're talking about intense personal danger. He highlights this really personal fallout, like, crazy hate me if I was loving your daughter.
And then that devastating line about having posted abortion. I mean, it tells you everything. This isn't just about moving product. These are life and death decisions with these deep, often violent consequences. It grounds the money discussion in real human catastrophe.
So if you pull all this together, the whole business model is really a survival mechanism. It's a calculated, almost mandatory response to all that trauma and instability.
Precisely. It's not a choice made out of leisure. It's a mandate for existence. And that framing means the strategy that comes next isn't just some abstract idea. It's deeply, deeply purposeful.
Because failure means going back to that.
Exactly. It means returning to that state of hunger.
Okay, so that leads us right into the operational philosophy, the business strategy that grows out of this survival mindset. What's driving the day-to-day action?
Well, he details a very specific kind of strategic mindset. He says he feels like a marsh out of this feed on the surface.
What do you think he means by that? Feed on the surface.
I think it suggests an opportunistic approach. You take what's available quickly, efficiently. You don't get dragged down into deep, long-term entanglements. You stay on the surface. But the key part is that he feels trapped with a purpose.
The purpose being survival.
The purpose being survival and maybe something more. And that opportunistic efficiency is crucial. He clearly defines his customers, too. They target people when their pocket's hurting, which leads to them pulling a Suburban.
So the target market is desperate people, and maybe this Suburban is a specific vehicle or a type of meeting place for these transactions.
It's basically an unconventional form of financial service. You provide cash or product when traditional systems are completely out of reach. It's not about creating new demand. It's about servicing existing acute need.
And here's where the strategy just this. It completely diverges from any business textbook you'll ever read. The way he defines competition, or the lack of it.
This is a major, major insight into their whole philosophy. In a normal, illegal market, you'd expect turf wars, you'd expect rival ops.
Right.
But the text explicitly says, we don't have ops, we only beef up a purse.
That changes everything. It's just their focus isn't on territory or fighting other groups. Their entire conflict is with the customer's resources, the purse.
Exactly. It's pure transactional maximization. They're not trying to eliminate competitors. You could see it as a kind of radical efficiency. They cut out all the cost and the risk of gang rivalry and just focus on financial extraction from the customer. The only beef is how big the payout is.
But even with that streamlined focus, it's not a perfect system. He talks about internal challenges that threaten the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. The logistics of the supply chain seem to be a huge headache.
That line, how the fuck I got different prices because I got too many plugs.
Right. In a normal business, having too many suppliers gives you options. Here, it just creates chaos, inconsistent pricing, which risks, customer distrust and friction inside the organization. It's a failure of quality control, basically.
And then there's the bigger problem, maybe the most devastating one in a high-trust economy like this, betrayal.
He talks about a play that gets derailed because his own people was trying to set him up.
That shows just how fragile the whole thing is.
It is. This is a high-risk world where control is. It's shaky at best. And that one act of betrayal leads to this lasting conflict. He says, to this day, we fell out. I'm really slam. I can't control my thugs.
That line, I can't control my thugs, it's a crisis of leadership, isn't it? The human cost of a decentralized business built on desperation.
Yes. But despite all that chaos, the core motivation seems to stay rooted in loyalty and this real aspiration for something better.
It's unwavering. He says, got to keep going. That's clever. The persistence is everything.
And that persistence, it's driven by a commitment to his team. He says, the hustle is done for my members, and he's recalling all the good times that I remember. His people are the why. They're the reason to take all the operational risk.
And there's this clear sense that the current state of risk is not the end game. He talks about transformation, about the different feeling when you clean from the gutter.
That's the upward mobility. That's the drive to legitimize all the gains that were made through the hustle. And it's tied to a very specific goal, a legacy. He says, Dizzy really ran that started business, etc. I pray to God that we scallop.
Scallop. What do we think that means in this context? If the goal is to start a legitimate business, what is scalloping?
Well, my read on it is that it's about successfully extracting the most valuable part, like a valuable scallop being pulled from a difficult, dangerous environment. It's the hope for a successful, high-value transition out of the danger zone and into something sustainable.
So it's the ultimate goal, converting that survival capital into legitimate, sustainable wealth.
It's entrepreneurship under the most extreme duress you can imagine. The whole story balances this raw, immediate action you need to survive with this really clear, ambitious, almost professional goal of transforming hardship into lasting success.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? We've taken this text, defined by its incredible jargon, the titties and buttons, the onion start, that $3,900 marker, and we found this deep-seated motivation driven by being starving and navigating profound drama. And then we saw this strategic transactional business model emerge, all built around beefing up a purse, which then leads to this huge ambition to start business and hopefully to scallop.
It's just a remarkable insight. It shows how trauma can be channeled into this incredibly focused, dangerous, but ultimately purposeful business action. The foundation is scarcity, but the ambition is permanent, legitimate wealth.
And the text leaves us with this final, really provocative line about commitment. He says, once you start, you can't let her. It feels like this unbreakable vow.
It does, and it raises a really important question for you to think about.
Yeah.
In this narrative, what is the point of no return? What is the her that he can't let go of?
Is it that first commitment, the involuntary one to just hustling to survive? Or is it the second one, the voluntary one? The commitment to building that legacy, to Dizzy's business, to actually making it out.
Which of those commitments is the one that truly binds him to this path?
A profound thought on the cost of commitment. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.